Hello and welcome to a Christmas Eve episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and we're using our new equipment from my son and Jason's brother, Dan. So hopefully we're much clearer and we sound much better tonight.
Yes, and let us know because I'll listen, but I'm very critical, so we'll have to hope it comes out really well. I guess in the good news, I won my fantasy football league at a decent amount of money. That's the good football news of the week.
Thank you, Antonio Brown.
Yes, but the Steelers lost yesterday.
Yes, they did, and it was this. I'm so torn because I really didn't expect them to win, and then when I saw they could win, I think I'm I'm more disappointed than I thought I would be today. I don't have a problem with Tolman going for the fake punt.
No,
they just held him a couple times, and I thought they could have punted, but I'm okay with that. Some really bad officiating yesterday. I mean, that's not an excuse. That's just a fact. And, whenever you make a call like that in the end zone, you better be sure it's pass interference. And the first quarter on Joe Hayden, that was a bad call. So,
and all the other NFL players and former officials, and even Mike Pereira came out and said that was a terrible call.
It was one of the worst calls I've ever seen, other than the San Diego game where they let the guy back up 15 yards and then not call the offensive line for motion.
And the Saints also had a false start that didn't get called. You had the second pass interference on fourth down. It was under 5 yards. It was very physical, but it was technically under 5 yards, and I thought that ball got tipped. And then the reverse is you had Michael Thomas pushing off on Joe Hayden in the back, on the go-ahead touchdown.
That never gets called, and I understand that. I mean, I've seen AB push off before. I was okay with that, not that no call there, except probably for the other ones.
Yeah. And then I guess the other fan, we have to, at least admit that they lost to the Raiders.
Yep.
They tied the Cleveland Browns when they still had Hugh Jackson as the coach. They lost to a bad Broncos team. So
they lost to a Charger team. They were beaten by 27 points.
And lost to a Charger, and with a fourth quarter lead. So it didn't come down to the refs. And obviously, you had the Stephen Ridley fumble, which was a bummer. And then the worst one was the Juju fumble because everybody loved Juju and I just didn't want to see him fumble.
Yeah, it was sad. I was very sad to see that he would hit because I know how serious he will take that fumble. Shame.
Very much. But technically, the Steelers have to beat the Bengals at home next week. And if the same Cleveland Browns, now Hugh Jackson free, winners of, I think, 5 of their last 7 games, can beat the Ravens, the Steelers still make the playoffs.
And it's very interesting for me because being an Oklahoma State guy, I have been so anti-Baker Mayfield for the past 4 years. It's been very difficult, or past 3 years. And now I have to root for Baker Mayfield to help the Steelers get the playoffs. But I will say this. I have a lot of respect for the job that Baker Mayfield does. Baker Mayfield is a definite leader on the field. He's a definite, makes everybody better. He's a fierce competitor. And so, I feel okay about my chances.
Yeah. And I think I know he took some heat for the way he treated Hugh Jackson, which I was totally behind. But I think he brings like an attitude that Cleveland needs,
Yeah, he definitely brings an attitude. And I think they are a confident team. And if you put confidence together with all those very, very high draft picks that they've had, I think all the talent is beginning to assert itself and play the way they're capable of. And I think that the coach has them believing that they can do anything. And I think it's a big motivation for them to go out and having gone from 0 wins last year to a possible winning record if they win this game would be one of the most outstanding stories of the year.
And it's a chance for them to spoil Baltimore, who obviously was the former Cleveland Browns that were stolen from them. So I'm sure getting to knock Baltimore out of the playoffs would be kind of nice for them as well.
Well, it all shapes up to be a very interesting week.
And that brings us to the rest of the AFC, where somehow those stupid New England Patriots are probably going to have the 2 seed, and they still have a shot at the 1 seed. Or no, they don't have a shot at the 1 seed, but they can lock down the 2 this week if they beat the Jets.
And I saw the stat again yesterday. That's their 10th consecutive division title.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on. playing a division that has some other teams in it. My God. I am encouraged by the Jets. That's all I have to say. So we'll see what the Jets are capable of doing, not this year, but in the years to come.
Well, Sam Darnold has shown some real signs this year, and their defense is not a slacking defense. Now, I don't know what their motivations to win that game will be next week, but it'll be interesting. I mean, I maybe it's just the optimist in me, but I think they have a shot of knocking the Patriots off.
Except it's in New England.
Except it's in New England, and New England wins that game, and they're guaranteed a bye week, which obviously is huge because New England off a bye is pretty much unbeatable at home.
But as the talking heads have been saying, I don't think this is a dominant Super Bowl type New England team.
No, but along those same lines, as we can sort of give our pseudo predictions, who is a dominant team right now?
Well, the Saints playing in New Orleans.
Right, but the Steelers had that team beat, an 8-win Steeler team.
Hey, the Steelers are a lot better team than their record.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but that Steeler team's not going to be playing.
No.
So, I mean, I think the Saints can dominate anybody in that building. I mean, Steelers did a really good job holding down the rushing game.
Yeah.
And I mean, Alvin Kamara had some really big plays yesterday, but I just think that in that building with Breeze and good coaching, I think they go to the Super Bowl. I really do.
Well, nobody else in the NFC
is in Atlanta, so we'll have to see how they play in Atlanta. But in New Orleans, I can see them winning the 2 games they need to win.
And then the ultimate wild card team, I think, in both conferences is the Chicago Bears.
Which was interesting because that was one of the conversations this morning, saying that depending on Mitch Trubisky, that team could beat the Saints.
They could, because they've got the best defense in football, bar none, this year. They've got Khalil Mack, a legitimate MVP candidate if defensive players were allowed to win MVP. You got Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. You got tight ends. You've got a line. You just have a streaky, weird quarterback.
Yeah, and if he's hot, look out.
Yeah, because he's looked terrible at times this year, and he's looked very competent at times. And I think that they're the Bears, and I know back to the Browns. The Browns said that once they brought in the new offensive coordinator, the first thing he did is he went to the players. He's like, "What kind of plays do you like to run?" So
yeah,
they've done that in Chicago. They tried to cater this offense to Trubisky and try to make all the things he does the things he does. Well, obviously.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. The Rams, Aaron Donald is as dominant player as I've seen.
But Jared Goff looks very much like the Jared Goff under Jeff Fisher recently, as opposed to the Jared Goff under Sean McVay.
Yeah, his first 12 games, he looked unbeatable. Now, I don't know.
Well, Gurley's been a little bit banged up, and I think Gurley's had a couple weeks to rest. They didn't play him yesterday.
And they play the 49ers next week, and they crushed the 49ers last time.
Yeah, they did. Although, who's that quarterback the 49ers have go? Nick Mullins. He's looked really competent lately.
Kept him in the games. He's not turning the ball over.
No, and he doesn't have a lot of help on
offense. Bad defense.
Yeah. So right now you would stick with the Saints and...
The Saints and I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say the Chiefs, but that defense is non-existent.
No. And I know Andy Reid supposedly, they had Eric Berry on a snap count. They sort of already gone into preservation mode. I think they've got the 1 seed locked up in the AFC, and I think they've just, they want to try to get everybody as healthy as possible. But since the Kareem Hunt incident, despite getting some pretty good numbers from Damian Williams and even Spencer Ware, they've not looked like the same Saints team.
No.
Not Saints, Chiefs team. Because even when they lost New England, they had a bad first quarter, and they just put it to New England, and they just didn't have enough time to come back. But if that game was 5 quarters long, they would have won. I mean, I don't know.
What are they at now? 3 losses or 4? 3. 3, right?
3 losses.
And they haven't lost. They've lost 3 games by a total of 15 points, I want to say.
I would say that sounds about right. Yeah, because they lost to Seattle close, New England close, and I forget who the third. Well, they lost to the Chargers too.
They were all very, very close games. But again, the defense scares me. So he's got to go in there. If they score 40 points, they're going to win.
Probably.
Probably. I think 40 they'll win. I think 30 it's up for grabs, but 40 their defense is going to give up between 24 and 35. You got to win. You got to score 40 to win.
But as you pointed out, the AFC, like any of those teams would come out of that AFC, and I wouldn't be surprised.
No, if Baltimore gets in, or the Steelers, one of those two teams, I think either of them could do some damage. I really do.
And I know that's the cliche to say the team you don't want to play. And I know in the NFC it's Seattle, but I would assume in the AFC it's whoever wins the Baltimore Steeler matchup. Like you don't want to see either one of those teams.
No,
because when they're on, those teams are just on. And I do see when I watch the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and I don't mean to insult him, he does remind me a little bit of Tebow, where I don't really know why they're good on offense. Like it seems like you know what they're going to do, and they're very limited, but it's still being successful. So,
yeah, and that defense is really good.
Yeah, it's them and the Bears. Those two teams can bring it on defense.
Yeah, and Seattle is a team I don't understand either.
No, but I mean, you've got some guys like you saw that one-handed catch Doug Baldwin made this week. Like he's finally getting healthy again.
Yep.
They've had a great running game with Chris Carson. Despite drafting Rashard Penny in the first round to help their running game, they've had a great, him, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, he looked phenomenal in that game. I watched the highlights of that game, and he was just putting the ball on it, just on a dime, as they say. I really like what I see.
Chris Carson's done a good job on the ground for them. I mean, their defense is up and down.
Yeah. Well, this seems like we've got parity.
We've got parity. Let's stay on football. Let's talk about the two national championship semifinals next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Notre Dame several times this year. I just do not see them beating Clemson. I just don't.
It was great that they were able to go through their record undefeated, but they do not look like a playoff team to me.
No. I just don't see that happening. And, I think Alabama beats Oklahoma. And I'm thinking the score is going to be in the 30s.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama's just got so much more on defense.
They do, but Kyler Murray is he's the fastest player I've ever seen at quarterback position.
And sadly, this is the last time we're going to see him at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be center fielder for the Oakland A's, and I'll enjoy watching that.
Because he plays the one position you can't Bo Jackson. Like if he was a corner or a running back or a receiver, he could play both. But at quarterback, you can't take time away from the game and then come back. And
No, there's too much film study and analysis and everything else involved.
Yeah. Which is a shame because I think especially, I know they say he's 5'9" and whatever, but I mean, Russell Wilson is 5'10". Drew Brees is under 6 feet tall. I mean, it's a different NFL right now.
It is. And I mean, Alabama's got some huge linemen.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. It's going to be, I think it shapes up. It's a matchup I wanted to see. And that's what I'll say about it. I wanted to see it, so now I'll see. I mean, to me, it will prove either how good Alabama is or isn't. I mean, we know what Oklahoma is. They're going to score points and they're not going to stop anybody.
True.
So we'll see where it goes.
But, I mean, I think, both their quarterbacks, I mean, it's nice that, Tua has been, I don't want to say he's been shaky, but he hasn't looked quite, I think he still looks like a future NFL pro and he looks great, but I don't trust him anywhere near as much as I trust Murray.
No.
Obviously Hurst it was a nice story to see him come back and get, stay there and then get the win when he came in relief. But,
I'll be curious as to how the Alabama quarterbacking goes in this game. We'll see how healthy Tua is. And we'll see what the other opportunities are. It's going to be interesting, no question.
Yeah.
Must see TV next Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I got my shocker of the week.
What is that?
I knew Army was good because they forced Oklahoma to go to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
I in no way saw Army hanging 70 points on anybody.
No.
That was a shock to me, especially because we made such a big deal about the speed of Houston and everything else. And they got their ass kicked. I mean, that wasn't even a game. It was 42-14, I think, at the half.
Yeah. Well, that offense isn't – the style of that offense isn't supposed to put up 70 points.
No, it's not. but they were running. And I know Houston had a lot of guys that didn't play, but it looked like there was cardboard boxes, and these guys were just running down the field. I mean, it was some of those runs were ridiculously long for players that weren't really all that fast.
No, that's what I noticed. I mean, their offense is meant to,
Grind
keep
it.
off the field, eat up clock, and not break. I mean, obviously, ideally, you want every run to break off for 50, 60, 70 yards, but I don't think you're going to realistically expect that. But that's what they got, which was just phenomenal.
Blown away when I saw that. And I watched it, and I turned off the half, and I said, God, I can't believe how bad this game is. But 70 points, that's incredible.
And I guess if we flip over to the NCAA basketball, it's been a pretty exciting season so far.
It's parity. I mean, it's, there's a lot of teams now that are emerging. Like I would love to see. I haven't seen the Nevada team yet. I'd love to see the Nevada team play.
Yeah. But I mean, every number one team has gone down.
Yep.
I mean, everybody thought Duke was just going to be this, and they've been fun to watch. Zion Williams.
Fun to watch. But they are freshmen. They're going to make mistakes, just like Calipari's freshman teams made mistakes.
Right. And then you got, the Gonzaga team that's always hanging around.
Yeah.
Kansas. And then Kansas just lost to Texas A&M. I mean, it's just.
It's
kind of nice. I mean, we know a few more players this year. For me, at least, I feel like as a casual NCAA basketball fan, yeah. I feel like I know more players in the tournament than I have in the last couple of years.
Well, everything boding toward a very interesting March.
Yeah.
And we always know that there's going to be a few Davids that are going to have a lot of fun and make it fun for a lot of people and be bracket busters.
Oh, without a doubt.
So we'll see how that moves along. Staying on basketball, tomorrow is the biggest day of the NBA season usually, with the quadruple header tomorrow. The 4 games tomorrow, is more than 4?
I think it's 4. It's pretty much basketball.
I remember growing up, there was one game on Christmas Day, and it was always the Phoenix Suns. It was like, they were like the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. The Suns owned Christmas Day, and the game was always somebody at the Suns every year.
And now it's far from that.
God, yes. I don't think they let the Suns play on Arbor Day on national TV.
No, although, I mean, as much attention as Luke has got, DeAndre Ayton has looked pretty solid.
He's looked solid. I mean, they're on their way back, but it's going to take a while. They get 2 pieces. They need a couple more pieces.
Definitely.
Luka Doncic has had a hell of a week. That shot he put in, that kind of fadeaway where he was kind of behind the side of the backboard, hit that 3-pointer to put the game in overtime. That was ridiculous.
I mean, he looks like he's been playing in the league for. I mean, I know, like we talked about last week, like he's been a professional athlete since he was 14. But
I mean, he reminds me like a cross between Larry Bird and Dirk.
Larry Bird and Dirk, huh?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, I love watching him. I'm going to have to go and see him play sometime this season.
Yeah, because I think he's a little bigger than people expect.
And not as slow as people expect.
No, and again, I think I talked about this even maybe 2 weeks in a row now, but like you can see that if he really goes hardcore into a fitness routine. I mean, we saw it with Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers, not to go back to Steelers again, but like he was a 245-pound running back at Michigan State. And he worked on his diet. He came into his rookie year at Pittsburgh. He was 220 and slimmer and trimmer. And I think Luka Doncic has got a little bit of, you've heard the stories about how he really loves American fast food.
Yep.
And if he gets, if his competitive streak, which is very apparent, bleeds into his diet as well, I mean, that could be a whole, just, all of a sudden he's a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. But he's got those veteran moves. Like he's got,
Oh, yeah. He's got a great basketball IQ.
Great basketball IQ. Like he's got, he's slow. He's got the pacing where he's not just the same speed all the time. He's got great court vision. That step back 3 is deadly already. I mean, that's an old school vet move, and he's got that down.
Yeah, it's fun to watch him.
Yeah.
So who do we get tomorrow? We get LeBron and the Warriors?
LeBron and the Warriors and the baby Lakers.
So that'll be an interesting one to watch.
And LeBron took a little bit of heat yesterday, obviously, but he's apologized, and I think that was one of his rare, step up.
He's so media savvy, it was hard to see him make that comment.
He did the thing that always gets people in trouble where you post somebody's lyrics. Yeah. But it was about, it was ethnically charged lyrics that just,
Whose lyrics were they, by the way?
That's sad. I don't actually know, but it wasn't the best.
No.
Oh, we actually have 5 games tomorrow.
Okay.
The Greek Freak at the Knicks. We get OKC at Houston. Philly at Boston.
That will be a good game. I love Oklahoma City and Houston.
Yeah. I don't know if Chris Paul is going to play in that one or not, though. I think he's out for a couple weeks. We got Philly at Boston, which should be a fun game.
That should be a really good game.
The Lakers at Golden State. And then I know we should be more excited about the late game of Portland at Utah, but I just can't get excited about either of those teams right now.
It's tough. I mean, those are a little bit vanilla teams.
Like, I know they're both going to be playoff teams, and they both have all-stars on them, and, we're hoping Donovan Mitchell sort of finds his way back to his rookie form. Mm-hmm. But I'm still not excited about either of those teams, even with Joe Ingles going on fire, yelling at people.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what goes on. I mean, it's a lot of basketball. I won't watch that much basketball tomorrow, but I'll probably tune in and out of the Sixers-Celtics game. And then the Oklahoma City-Houston game, I'll probably watch buzzer to buzzer.
Yeah.
Just because I love my family.
And the Greek Freak is must-watch TV. Like, that's a guy I desperately want to see in person. He's like an alien.
He is unbelievable. I mean, I really like watching him play. I like his attitude. I like his physicality. I haven't seen anybody quite like that one in a while.
No, because he's a legit, 7 feet tall, and he's shredded, and he's got, he's from the 3-point line. He's 2 steps, and he's dunking on you.
I know. And he's got, the physicality, the strength of Shaq.
Yeah.
Not the bulk and the lack of speed of Shaq.
And he's doing it all without a jump shot yet. So, and he'll get one eventually. Because he's, from what I understand, he's just a gym. He's in the gym all the time. He cares nothing about anything but basketball, obviously about his people and all that stuff. But he's a dedicated basketball guy. He's just going hardcore all the time, which is very nice to see.
No, it should be a fun day tomorrow. And it really is the start, to me, of the NBA season.
I think that's what it's become. I think that's why they put all these games on, because it's, there's no NFL to compete with.
There's no NFL to compete with. It's, you're toward the end of the NFL now. Baseball's a long way away. Hockey's in mid-season. I mean, it's now they can kind of come on and dominate the stage a little bit.
In hockey, the people that like hockey like hockey. I mean, I rarely talk about it on here because I know it's pretty niche. I mean,
tell you what, the Lightning are having a hell of a year, though.
And the Penguins are starting to look good again, too. Just throwing out our favorite.
Yep.
Pittsburgh hockey team.
And just everybody understands why I root for every Pittsburgh team. I root for the Lightning when they play the Penguins. And the Lightning are my favorite hockey team. So just saying that, I know people question that, but that's true.
It is. Well, they've been a wonderful organization to us as a family in general. So
they have. They've been
I do have a lot of love for them. But my childhood of loving the Penguins can't get me to root for them.
No. No Bryce Harper news yet.
Nope.
Although some blockbuster trades in baseball last week, it looked like the Dodgers were clearing a lot of cap room. Like they were going to, they're going to sign somebody big. So we'll see what goes on.
And I was surprised. I don't know what the Reds are doing exactly. I mean, with that trade, it looks like the Dodgers freed up an outfield spot for Bryce Harper. Speaking of Bryce Harper, with part of that, they cleared some money and an outfield spot. So,
I mean, I realized that Sean Kemp had a great year, or not Sean Kemp.
Yeah, Sean Kemp is the former NBA monster
and father of our country.
Yes.
Which Kemp is?
It's Matt. Matt Kemp is the player.
Yeah, I think he had a great year last year. It was a good comeback year, but I just don't know how much he has left in the tank.
And Puig is,
Puig is Puig.
Puig is Puig. Yeah. He's almost a Manny as Manny, but he's got more of a mean streak, I think.
I think he'll be devastated by the trade.
I don't. Yeah, I was like, this is. I don't think you ever want to go L.A. to Cincinnati.
No,
Cincinnati.
No. And did the Dodgers get Homer Bailey?
Yeah.
He had the 1 in 18 year last year.
Mm-hmm. And again, I know there was some other future players and all those sorts of things that maybe make it, we'll eventually hear about this trade like in 5 years, or maybe we won't. Who knows? On an entertainment note, though, I watched 2 really good movies recently.
Okay.
On Netflix, I watched The Invisible Guardian. which is a Spanish thriller. And I would just recommend people watch it. If you like sort of, it's really well done. I've always found that, I know a lot of people are anti-subtitle, but it goes away so quickly. I think if you get through the first 10 minutes of the movie, you don't really even notice anymore.
Okay. Subtitles are English?
Subtitles are English, and then obviously the rest of the movie's in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, then it's even better for you. Great. But it was it looks so, as I watched that movie, and it's got great reviews. I could see it being remade in America. So maybe you want to wait, but I don't. It's on Netflix right now. It's really well done, really well. It's really cool.
Okay. Good to know.
And then I watched A Simple Favor with Anna.
I thought it was very good as well.
And Mrs. Ryan Reynolds, amongst other people in the cast. I loved the first 80% of the movie. I was a little bit let down by where it ended up, but like I said, I absolutely loved the first part. So just, throwing that out there for people. Quite good.
I don't think I've had any entertainment news. I haven't seen anything this week.
Broadway plays.
Pardon me? Oh, it's on Broadway plays. That's right. I saw To Kill a Mockingbird, which I was blown away by because I'd seen the movie, read the book, seen the movie a dozen times.
And you are a huge To Kill a Mockingbird person.
And it's my favorite book and it's my favorite movie. And I was a little surprised by the casting. The Scout in the movie is about 8 or 9 years old. The Scout on Broadway appears to be about 14 in the play and is probably in her late 20s as an actress. And it took me a while to get past that, but she put on a very, very good performance. So after a while, I got past that. And I got past the Jeff Daniels, Dummer. It's very hard for Dummer and Atticus Finch to be the same person.
Yes.
But he was very credible. He did a very nice job with it. And I was very impressed with the show. It was very, very good. The way they did the novel as a show, I was very, very impressed with. Really well done. And I also saw Mean Girls, which had an unbelievable cast. And Pearl, the girl that played Regina, was so you could never find a better Regina than this girl. She was absolutely amazing. So we enjoyed both of those shows. They were both really, really good.
And I've always been a fan of the movie, but it was always hard for me to imagine how that would work out as a Broadway play. But apparently really well.
Apparently really well. I'm sure we both had some really good meals this week.
We did. We did indeed. I went to a place everybody can, well, not everybody, I'm sure many of our listeners can go to. I went to Ruth Chris, which is technically, it's a chain, right? I would say. Yeah. I had the ribeye, which is always fantastic. Came out sizzling in butter, medium rare, some au gratin potatoes. And we got the little special where you get the appetizer, the meal, and then dessert. And I got the lava cake, which was outstanding. I don't know what else to say.
And then together we went to Osteria, Tampa.
Yes, we did.
What's the chef's name, Jace?
It's Chef Fabio Viviani, someone who I've followed, I think, is a amateur chef. I've always just enjoyed a lot of his recipes, and we've even incorporated a couple of his tips into our famous Italian recipes that we've taken from him. And including adding, and this is a tip for people out there, if you cook meatballs, add a little bit of ricotta cheese to the meatball. It makes it so much, a little cheesier, a little softer. It's wonderful.
A little moisture?
A little moisture, yeah.
We did have a Kobe beef meatball there.
Yes.
That was impressive.
It was, because it's, what was that, about the size of a softball, give or take?
Yeah, pretty much. At least a baseball.
At least a baseball. And I'm sometimes nervous about bigger meatballs because that means you have to cook them longer. They're not going to be as tender. But the meat quality of the sauce and the cheese was excellent. So
that was very good.
And they make a very
deli with beef ragu with a beef short rib ragu, and it was off the charts. It was tremendous.
Yes.
But today we'll probably have the best meal we're going to have all week because Sharon is making lasagna, and her lasagna is to die for.
And meatballs.
And meatballs and hot sausage from Pittsburgh. It is a great meal. Followed by chocolate cheesecake from the Nuns of New Skate in New York. That I got on Gold Belly.
Excellent.
Unbelievable cheesecake, especially for like chocolate cheesecake.
And I think hopefully we're going to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas. We will talk to you again before the new year.
yes,
And I think we'll talk a little bit about what we'd like to see happen in the sports world in 2019.
I think that sounds excellent.
That'll be part of our theme.
And again, please, for Christmas, we would love if you guys, rate and review us on iTunes. Contribute to Patreon if you can. Once again, thank you to all our Patreon people that have continued to support us. We really appreciate it. Hopefully, this new service is also giving you slightly better audio quality. We'll know within the next 24 hours or so.
Yes. Please let us know if you thought the quality was better. So, Matt Swan, please let us know if we sounded better.
Yes. And if you have questions or topics you want to hear us discuss, obviously, Twitter, email, all those good things. And yeah. And we'll get back to the family right now and hope you guys enjoy your family thing. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all those good things.
Peace out.